About to get underway in New York. SBS senior correspondent Brian Thompson is at Ground Zero in Manhattan. Brian?
Thanks, Ricardo. Well, a weekend of remembrance is already well underway here in the United States. Two former presidents attending the dedication of the memorial at Shanksville in Pennsylvania that commemorates the passengers on United Airlines Flight 93 who sacrificed their lives to save others. The bells toll in remembrance, 40 times for each of the 40 passengers and crew who died here in Pennsylvania. Mobile phone calls to the plane had alerted the passengers as to what was going on. Their battle to stop the hijackers from crashing the plane into the Capitol, earning the praise of two former presidents.
They saved the Capitol from attack. They saved God knows how many lives. They saved the terrorists from claiming the symbolic victory of smashing the center of American government.
Then President George Bush speaking of the wrenching pain that the relatives still feel and praising the sacrifices made.
What happened above this Pennsylvania field ranks among the most courageous acts in American history.
Later today, President Obama will attend the memorial service here, as he will in New York and Washington. He began the weekend by paying tribute to the soldiers who died in the wars that were subsequently fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. In his weekly address, President Obama assured all of their families that none of their loved ones had died in vain.
In their memory, in their name, we will never waver. We will protect the country we love and pass it safer, stronger, and more prosperous to the next generation.
Later, he visited a soup kitchen in an effort to encourage Americans to regard the anniversary as a national day of service. Here in New York, where President Obama will attend the main memorial at the site of the World Trade Center attacks in just a few hours' time, thousands of people gathered along the Hudson River, strangers standing hand in hand in a symbolic act of remembrance.
This was the one event I felt I could handle, but it's very hard. I actually was down in this area when they came down.
Raw emotion too outside the church nearest to the World Trade Center, where visitors tied ribbons of remembrance. In advance of today's memorial, New Yorkers have been paying tribute to the brave firemen who responded to the attacks. 343 of them were killed, their sacrifice honoured at New York's St. Patrick's Cathedral. Inside, their colleagues carried flags, one for each firefighter and paramedic who was killed when the Twin Towers fell.
Dear Dad, I just missed meeting you. You died on September 11th, 2001, and I was born 26 days later on October 7th. I want you to know that Mommy is doing a great job of loving me and raising me in a happy home.
The sacrifices that the firefighters made, recalled by an Australian cameraman who was filming at Ground Zero on that fateful day.
We were filming with other firefighters, and it was really upsetting. I mean, I would be behind the camera crying sometimes to hear it, because the whole thing was upsetting. Even at the US Open being held here in New York, the victims have been remembered.
I just want to say all my support to the families of the victims.
As the anniversary approaches, America remains on edge. The fire department here in New York sending 26 units to investigate black smoke billowing from a location near New York's famous Empire State Building. It was a false alarm, but with intelligence agencies chasing down a credible threat of an Al-Qaeda attack, no one is taking any chances. And they're certainly not taking any chances here in New York. The World Trade Center site surrounded by a ring of steel. There are 34,000 police officers here in New York, and it feels like every one of them is out on the streets this morning. That defiant show of response in response to the terror attack, the threat of a terror attack that was announced earlier this week. Ricardo?
So, Brian, the main memorial will be taking place behind you in just a few hours' time. What are we expecting to see?
Yes, well, it'll start at 8:46 in the morning. That's the exact moment that the first plane went into the World Trade Center. There will be a moment of silence, and then the families will get up and they will read the names as they have in previous years. The reading of those names will be interspersed by additional moments of silence for the times each of the planes came down. Then there'll be the unveiling of the memorial here, 2 reflecting pools, almost an acre in size, with the names of those who died inscribed on bronze plaques on the side of those pools. You can see them just behind me.
Okay.
Ricardo?
Thanks, Brian, and we will return to New York later in World News Australia. Australia's religious